Hello YouTube, Young Connoisseur here. Today we're going to be going over the FNS FNS-9mm. The 4-inch version has a 17+1 magazine, and I'm going to go over it for you in detail. Hit all these key talking points. Not going to make this a very long video, but detailed enough to tell you what I think about it now that I have 1,000 rounds through it, and I've had it for about 3 weeks. Safety check, it is empty. Get the mag out of the way here. Alright, first off, let's talk about the price of it. The MSRP on this bad boy is $750. That's for the two-tone finish with the Trigicon Tritium night sights, which work pretty good. They're not quite as good as what's on the Kimbers, but they're totally worth the money. For $750, I say that is an absolute steal. Go out and get one. If you can find one cheaper, which they're definitely out there for a lot cheaper. I didn't pay anywhere near that for this. And I'm actually looking to get a second one of these that I can buy it brand new, take it apart, pack the thing full of grease, stick it in a vacuum, sealed freezer bag, and then just store it for the next 20 years and see what happens to the value of those. And this thing's just phenomenal, and we'll get to that later. That's why I want a second one that I'm not going to shoot. Also, I think there's some collectability in this for a couple specific reasons. Next, let's go on to the size. This gun, I don't have my Glock 19 down here to compare it, but essentially this is the G19 top with the G17 bottom if you're comparing it to Glock. So it's the full-size handle on the bottom and the compact upper. It's not a bar of soap, as I've said in one of the other videos. You can see there's a lot of just curves to it, and it fits better in your pants. It's nicer to hold it. Size wise, I think it's absolutely perfect. You can get a smaller gun, and that's just a different philosophy of use. If you want to go with a little pocket pistol or something that doesn't hold the capacity, I think I might be in a situation where I need to engage between 2 and 5 targets. So the thing is, if you're only carrying 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds of ammo, best case you can only kill 7, 8, 9, 10 bad guys. If you have 18, you can do a heck of a lot more damage or be afforded a few misses. So I'd rather err on that side. And it's more is always more, bigger is always bigger. If you can carry it, carry it. We talked briefly there about the firepower of it. It's 9mm. There's nothing wrong with 9mm. Say anybody will get killed tomorrow with a 22, but when you're in a gunfight, knife fight, hostage situation, one of your family members being attacked, you need to end that threat immediately. So it's all about shot placement. Shooting somebody in the eyeball with a 22 is going to do a heck of a lot more damage than a 50 cal, straight in the chest. So fortunately, I can shoot, I can handle my guns, I can send lead down range ultra fast and ultra accurately. So I choose 9mm. I have some Buffalo Bore plus P plus 147 hollow points coming for this. They're actually a lot cheaper. I got a crazy deal on them, and got quite a bit. So I'm going to be doing some long range testing with that and some close range testing. I just prefer my ammo to penetrate in case I have to shoot through car doors, drywall, TV, wood, furniture, refrigerator door, whatever. I'd rather err on the side of penetration than expansion, because I'm going to hit you exactly where I want to hit you regardless. Let's bump down to build quality and reliability. The finishing details on this pistol, the polymer plastics, everything on this is at least 1 if not 2 steps above the finishing quality on a Glock. I like Glocks for they're the AK-47 of the pistol world. I've put 1,000 rounds through the one without even cleaning it. Runs super fine. My G21 runs great. They're just good engineered guns, but they are, it's a sacrifice gun. You're sacrificing a lot of engineering and a lot of, precision instruments and finish quality and you're getting a cheaper gun, but it's got those sloppy loose build tolerances like the AK does, and you get reliability for it. So it's a tool, and it has to be treated as such. This, on the other hand, is made more along the lines of like a high-end 1911, but I mean the slide has no slot back and forth, up and down. The chamber locks up solid, and this gun has 1,000 rounds through it, and it's not clean right now. It probably has right around 100 rounds through it, we'll just say. So when I pull this apart here and show you what I did to it on the guts, you can see how dirty and how easy this thing stays clean. Reliability, I have only had one light primer strike in over 1,000 rounds. I've had no failure to feeds, no failure to ejects. I've had literally not a single hiccup with this pistol. And around the 600 round mark, I took it apart and I modified the trigger group and a couple other things with it, and I still haven't had any issues. The one light primer strike I had was due to the tool ammo I was using. They generally use hard primers in the military surplus ammo and the Russian stuff, Serbian stuff, coupled with the modifications I did to the firing mechanism. But it only happened one time out of 1,000 shots. So I would absolutely bet my life on this gun. Ease of use. This gun has the option to have the manual safety here, the ambidextrous safety on both sides. Regardless of whether you use it or not, I always practice and plan on, pulling it out and flicking it down, doing the 1911 kind of draw position where you grab. If you're unholstering, you're picking it up, hitting it down with your thumb, and then presenting to the target. So whether you use it or not, just get in that habit, or you just buy the one without it. Regardless, ease of use, you pop the mag in the bottom, rack it, you're ready to go. It has the hinge trigger similar to the Glock that prevents it from firing if it's hit here. Ease of use, boom, 10 out of 10. A woman can use this, a first timer can use it, anything. Takedown's super easy. Just extremely well made gun, extremely well engineered. Nothing's overthought, but nothing's skimped on either. Next category, the most important category to me, because I have a range here. I have 1,000 yards in the front yard and about 100 yards in the backyard. So accuracy, I do a lot of long range shooting with the gun, and you wouldn't believe how accurate this thing is. I can easily shoot you in the head at 100 yards with this, with Walmart or cheaper than dirt $10 box tool steel cased 115 grain ammo. It shoots just as good with that as it does with the Hornady 147 XTPs or the flat nose 147 American Eagles, which I prefer just as a round, versus the pointy nose 115s. I prefer a flat nose. So accuracy, absolute 10 out of 10. Full on race gun. If you could put a scope on this thing, you could easily shoot this out to 200 yards with decent ammo. I mean, I can't say enough good things. This is at least as accurate as my full-size Kimbers. This is probably the most accurate pistol I've ever owned in my entire life. And it's actually probably as accurate running 6-minute, 7-minute groups, at 100 yards as I have had with AR-15 chambered in, 223 or 5.56 before. So this, unbelievable. That's all I can say. Just no doubt about it. Popping down to the next category here, parts and aftermarket. There is absolutely nothing for this pistol. If you think, you can get a drop-in trigger kit or get extended levers or, buttons on the gun or different sights and anything else, doesn't exist. The way you buy it's the way it comes. You can either get it without the night sights and just get the same ones without the tritium in them, or you can get it with a black slide. Those are your choices. Fortunately, you don't need any of that aftermarket crap for it. The gun comes absolutely. This is the first gun I've ever had that I haven't actually modified or changed anything on. I've just tweaked and polished a couple things, which has dramatically improved its performance. But I have not mechanically done anything to change the DNA of this firearm. Before we hop down to the last category here, I'm going to take it apart and show you what I did here real quick. Filch stripping, real easy. Just pop it back, put the catch on, turn this knob down, release the slide, wind it up so it's even, so it's at full battery, not past or before it, pull the trigger, the slide comes right off. So you can immediately see there's some similarities between this and like the CZ designs, but I'm going to focus here on the slide and show you what I did. So originally the gun was oversprung, so with the recoil following the shot as the slide's closing, it would snap back and then it would push down, sights would be in alignment, and then the weight of the slide, the extra force, would push it below and dip it below the target. So that's an oversprung gun. What I did is I bought the 40 cal version recoil guide rod replacement from FN. I think I paid $11 or $13, something like that, plus shipping, which of course you get raped on. And I dremeled off 2 coils of it, and then I just greased it. And no, these are not the same. FN says the 40 cal spring is the same as the 9mm spring. It's not. Throw it on a gram scale and you can see for yourself. Anytime there's a 15% difference in weight between two items, they're not the same. So anyways, I put a 40 cal spring in it, trimmed off 2 coils, so Dremel tool just go right here and just go zing, and then bend it back over so it stretches out. That'll effectively reduce the spring rate a couple pounds, so it'll shoot a lot softer. The gun won't have as much snap, and it certainly won't dip after the shot, so you have to bring it back up to get it back on target. So this gun shoots super flat, super fast, and basically it's a free cheap mod. Moving on to the slide here, we'll pull the barrel out. All I did here was I polished the feed ramp, just Dremel tool and a little bit of, polishing compound. I also polished a couple bits all around here. So as I said, this gun's dirty. With 100 rounds in it, that's what the feed ramp looks like. This gun's not cleaned at all for this demonstration purposes. So you can see what a little polishing does in the way of keeping things clean. And I also polished the breech face. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera here at all, but I polished this area so it doesn't cake with dirt, and you'll get a more consistent chamber seal with the brass. Also, you may have noticed the rounded corners on the slide stop. I also dremeled that and then polished it with a little bit of sandpaper. On both sides I beveled it. What I also did was I also machined off, as you can see on both of the ambidextrous slide releases, I removed materials there. That way, full mag, no mag, loaded, completely unloaded, whatever. If you want to drop the slide, just flick it, boom, slams it home. No fuss, no muss, no butts, no cuts, no coconuts, no issues with it. And actually I have it set so if I slam a mag in with the slide back, just boom, the shock from it chambers it. So boom, shoot last round, slide stays back, slam a new one in, it's already, didn't have to do anything else but slam that mag home, ready to fire. So that's something you can easily do. Just polish off that and remove a little bit of material there, and remove some material there on both sides. Also, you may have noticed in here, let's yank this apart. All you need is a screwdriver to compress the spring, pop out the back. This is the firing pin spring. What I did here was I trimmed off 4 coils on this. So if you can count these coils, trimmed off 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I sliced it. I polished this end piece and then bent it back so I wouldn't have any issues. This is reducing the weight that the firing pin mechanism comes back and fights you with. So less trigger pull, obviously. This spring we left completely alone. This is the safety breaker that the trigger hump goes over to release the safety on that. But what we did was we polished this entire piece. So when this knuckle right here on the firing pin mechanism, which I did not polish, and I'll tell you why in a couple minutes, rubs against the slide here and transitions from the edge of the slide to this material, this was a very gritty material. This is what takes up a lot of the grit in the trigger. Not a lot, but probably about 20%. So fully polish this. Now we have this out, not all of it. This is the anti-firing pin spring. What I did was I removed one coil on this. So jump over, one full coil. Cut that off, and then it goes back on. Let me get this back together here. And then be careful not to lose this little pin. And what I do is I put WD-40 actually in this chamber. It's a lot slicker, and it lasts for quite a while. So that also reduces tension. You can just see how smooth that is. No friction whatsoever. Drop this bad boy back in. Would help if I turned it the right direction. There we go. Pop this back in. Did no other modifications to the firing pin mechanism. Boom, back together, rock solid. On a lot of my other guns I also polished this. This I did not because I shoot a lot of steel cased ammo through it because I just burn through ammo too fast, and the steel case will just ruin the polish anyway. But you want to let the brass cases, they'll wear in and fill in the micro pores on here, so it'll be nice and smooth. So when the gun comes back, when this is rubbing against a full magazine, grinding against that case, that reduces a lot of the friction if that's polished. So I would say polish it first, but don't do a super mirror polish if you're going to run a lot of brass case ammo. So you want it to pack full of copper, and brass, and you never want to clean that off because that acts as a lubricant. Nothing else done to the slide besides polish this. Cut 4 coils off the return spring, and then off the anti-spring cut 1 coil. And then what I do is I use Mobil 1 synthetic bearing grease on these slide rails, and I also lubricate the outside of the entire barrel with the Mobil 1 synthetic grease. Same with that spring guide rod. And I also, any kind of contact point that rotates, also put a little dab on that. Alright, so now we're getting to the trigger mechanism. This is what most people complain about, and what my biggest complaint was the initial take-up was very gritty on this gun. It was like, chunk, 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 chunk. You got to the point, and then it was like another millimeter, then like a third stage kind of thing, and then it broke, real kind of squishy. But the main part was it was like 7.5 pounds. It was brutal. So what I did to fix this, very simple. Just get something in here to hold these up, and if you can see here, these are the trigger bars rubbing against the frame, and that's on both sides. So what you want to do is get that same polishing compound you're using on the feed ramps and stuff, and just pack it in here on both sides. Pinch the frame like this, so you're pinching the plastic against the metal, and just sit here watching TV or whatever and do this for about 10 minutes. Back and forth, holding the trigger, working it back and forth, adding pressure, squeezing it really, really tight. Then once you're done with that, hose the gun out, clean it, and then get some nice foamy WD-40 and run it right on the edge, just right on the top on both lines. Sit there, do that for 3 or 4 minutes, wipe off all the excess, and then put a couple drops, put a drop right in here, right between the firing pin thing, and actually you can just hose this whole thing out. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing the WD-40 is going to hurt or damage inside this gun. All the polymers and rubber and everything else, perfectly fine with it. So just hose the gun out, basically. Work it, dry fire the crap out of it, take it apart, clean the gun, slap it back together however you want, and then you're good to go. And I'll dry fire it here real quick for you, just so you can see. It's always hard to see on video though. But this is just a butter smooth take up now. There's absolutely, it just feels like heaven in here. It's just one smooth buttery motion, and then snap. And it's right around 3.5 pounds. Also, people complaining about the snappy recoil. One of my favorite things is this lever, the takedown lever. You can put so much weight with your thumb into that. Same with right here on that mag release. So how I hold it is I just get up as high as possible on this gun, press down with both my thumbs. This slide serrations don't bother my skin at all. I have actually very soft hands, and I shoot a lot, so I'm pressing down and in pretty hard here, and it just stays so flat, and you gotta lock your wrist. Alright, so without dragging this video out too long, I'm not sure how much time I have been taking. Let's get down to the last key bulletin. Exclusivity in the X Factor. This gun absolutely has it in spades. Pretty much nobody you're going to meet has one of these. Not a whole lot of people know about them. Everybody knows the FN-57, the P90, and fewer people even know about the, the FNP and 45 or the 9, the FNX, and then this thing. So this thing's definitely a rare gun. It's a rare bird, no doubt, and it is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give you a sneak peek here. What we have up ahead is my blackout. We're going to show you guys how this thing does at 400 yards or so, shooting, suppressed of course, shooting subsonic 208 Hornady AMAX. And then we've got my new gun. Chase came in, not going to give you a whole lot of details on it. I'm working on the trigger, so there's no trigger in it, but got some H&K stuff going on, as you can tell, and it's a 308, 18-inch match grade bull barrel. Gun's pretty heavy, but that's honestly, I'm really getting that as my main battle rifle, and that's just really the long-range impressive toy that shouldn't exist for how accurate that is. So those will be coming up in videos here. I have new targets, new IDPA targets set up competition style, so please subscribe. Please recommend this to your buddies, and do these vids, or I'm sorry, do these mods that I just showed you, and you will take a gun that has honestly a pretty crappy trigger into one of the best triggers I've ever squeezed in my entire life. It's that good, literally. And all it's going to cost you is, actually for the trigger, it's not going to cost you the recoil spring or any of the mods. All you got to do is snip the 4 coils and the 1 coil, polish the plunger spring and a couple other bits, and all in about 40 minutes of time. So don't pay a gunsmith, don't pay any other idiot. Do it yourself, and if you screw it up, no big deal, because you can get replacement parts for FN for cheap. So I bought them in case I did, but fortunately I didn't. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Thanks.